So, Joe, we first met when you were at Dixie, and I think you've been in the cannabis business longer than Headset has been in existence, which is, for us, about 5 years. So, what drove that jump into cannabis, and was it really what you expected when you got involved?
Yeah, so I have been in the business longer than Headsets. I started in technically in January 2014, although I was doing some consulting since 2010. And really, that was what kind of got me interested initially was that consulting when I was with my ad agency. We took Dixie on as a client back then and just did a lot of research and did a lot of intercepts at dispensaries. And then began to dawn on me that the people that were going into these dispensaries were not necessarily what I would stereotypically expect to be going into dispensaries. Now, I've always been a big fan of cannabis and of legalization, but it really seeing the ages and the varieties and types of people that were going in to buy products, even at the medical level, was really interesting to me. So I kept in touch with the owners of Dixie for many years, and then eventually in January 2014 made that leap the first week of adult use legalization here in Colorado and became CMO of Dixie. And your immediate question is, was it what I expected? Gosh, I don't know what I expected now that
Yeah.
I think about it. I'm not really sure. I think I thought it was going to be fun and interesting, which it certainly has been. I
Right.
think what I didn't expect maybe is the emotional attachment that I have to the industry, the understanding of and appreciation for the plant and how it impacts people. I
Hmm.
didn't really fully get that. I also didn't get I got into it for the social change piece. I don't know that I realized, nor could anybody at the time, how vast and sweeping that could look, right? That, as we go state by state, and as we look at expungement laws and we look at social equity and, all of these issues that cannabis has around it, I don't know that I was necessarily thinking in those broader terms at the time. So a lot of good surprises, a lot of stuff that I knew was going to be challenging, like when there's negative stories about cannabis or regulatory challenges, but by and large, best move I've ever made in my career. So
Yeah, that's great. I love to hear that. And it's always fantastic when, the smart people come in from other industries and jump in. It just helps elevate this whole category in general. You mentioned 2014 in Colorado, just starting cannabis sales, Colorado and Washington State, both
we were
launching.
first.
You were first. You were
All
first. I'm
right,
here
don't
in
forget that.
Seattle. That's right. That's right. And a big reason why I actually moved up to Seattle from California originally was to see kind of some of that first day one, kind of what does adult use look like. But Colorado certainly was first to kind of open the doors to the adult use consumer. In 2014, I mean, that was a long time ago. So, any big changes that you've noticed since that like first day of, I'm sure there's tons, but anything like
Uh,
really notable?
yeah, I'm laughing because like, how much time do we have?
Yeah,
Any big
exactly.
changes? I mean, I guess if you really think macro level, there's
Hmm.
the obvious, which is we now have I can't even keep track anymore number of states that are recreational or medically legal. So there's that on the regulatory level. And then I think it's also what I think has been interesting is just the acceptance by the consumer. And, we saw that in Colorado, of course, as legalization took hold and people became more familiar with the products and they realized the sky wasn't falling. But we are now seeing it really spread throughout the country in terms of just that acceptance and understanding of the product. And it's actually becoming the thing that we said we wanted it to become, 7 or 8 years ago, in terms of being, no different than any other product. Understanding the health benefits that it can offer, that level of education and knowledge for the consumer is really an interesting development that I didn't expect this soon.
Yeah, yeah, and you're absolutely right. There are a lot more states now, and states legalize, or there's some legislation that happens so frequently. At this point, sometimes I miss it. Like when you hear
Yeah,
legislation being introduced in a new state. I mean, that was in 2014. If something like that happened, it would be the talk of the industry. And now
huge.
it's kind of like,
Right.
oh, another one, which is one of those nice problems to have. So you were at Dixie at the time, and then now you're at Wana, and when I think of Wana, um, or when I think of edibles, I should say, I often think of Wana. I mean, synonymous. One of the original producers at scale, I would say, of edible products. So I know Dixie, is known for their beverages, I think originally, but also their edibles. There were a number of edible products. So, what did that transition look like, and how does that translate into some of your work at Wana today?
Well, I think first of all, between Dixie and Wana, I had a couple of other little adventures in the industry that were very interesting and illuminating, and I relish both of those little side diversions. But if you take it straight from Dixie to Wana, obviously at the highest level, they're both edibles companies, right? So you have the same CPG, wholesale manufacturing kind of challenges and opportunities across both, but vastly different approaches to the market, different approaches to the consumer and the product set. So it has been beneficial to have an understanding of the market and frankly, the relationships that I was able to develop at Dixie that I was then able to take to Wana. Definitely been beneficial to have that. But I think in terms of what we're doing at Wana, we have such an aggressive focus on innovation and on science and on education. And that really was not the main focus of Dixie. Dixie was focused on creating new products. Their innovation was expressed through new flavor profiles, new formats. Wana's is, okay, we know the gummy is a good delivery vehicle. How can we innovate within that delivery vehicle to bring forward the best products and the best results for the consumer? And so it's a little bit of a different approach than I think most, I'll call them CPG style cannabis companies take. And I love it. I think it's definitely the right way to do it. And I think that the consumer has responded by making us the number one edibles company in North America.
Thanks for joining CPG, the Cannabis Packaged Goods Podcast. For more information on Headset, visit headset.io.